What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Garage Gang Podcast. With me, as always, I got Kenny, Joe.
What's up, guys?
I'm Aaron. Today, if you have ever played at Nipomo High School, you're going to want to watch this podcast. Or straight played football at Nipomo High School. We got two coaching legends, Russ Edwards, Josh McClurg. Josh McClurg, of course, left us to go coach at his alma mater. He's now the San Ynez head coach. Welcome to the pod, boys.
Welcome, guys.
Blast to be here, man.
It's been a long time coming, man. We've been talking about this kind of pod for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's finally came into fruition, you know.
Okay, so we've had Josh on the pod once. He was at our first live show. So we're going to learn a little bit about Russ here. I have known you for a while, and I have no idea where you grew up at all.
I do. Hey, make sure we ask him about his tennis playing career in high school because that's actually
we're not,
pretty good.
We're not talking about tennis tonight.
Oh, wait, that was on the list right here.
Yeah, I grew up in Oxnard, California.
Okay.
I'm an alum of Channel Islands High School, South Oxnard, 1989 grad. We were back-to-back Marmani League champions back in the day, playing in the big boy Marmani League. This is the days before Oaks Christian would take became an Oxnard All-Star team.
Yeah.
And the days before St. Bonaventure took off with respect to football as well. So, old days when all the public school kids stayed at the public schools they were supposed to be at, and we had some very good teams.
We have a team around here, St. Joe's, that does that sometimes too. You know, so.
They do a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah.
They get a few players from surrounding neighborhoods.
No comment.
No comment. Yeah. Okay. So, I was going to ask about your high school football career, but now I need to ask about your high school tennis career.
No, we're not. Thanks, Josh. I've told some stories that will go under the radar for this podcast.
I got you.
Yeah.
I think they're classified. It's what the military calls it. These are files that are classified. They have not been declassified yet. I think it's 20 more years on the statute before they'll be
They still got the black,
declassified.
black marks.
Everything's redacted.
Everything's redacted still. Yeah. High school football. Yeah, I had visions and dreams of being a quarterback, as a lot of youngsters do as they go into high school. And I'd like to say that I was the starting quarterback at Channel Islands High School in the glory days of Channel Islands High School for about 2 weeks in the summer. and then one of my best buddies showed up, Vince Medina, and Vince promptly took over, and I became a defensive end.
Okay.
And played defensive end and offensive line all the way through, and was a all-league offensive lineman and at Channel Islands High School in the Marmani League, all Ventura County, LA Times, all that fun stuff.
That's what's up.
So yeah, there's a
Ciao.
I know. I didn't know all that.
A little bit of shine. Let's go.
yeah, I, just like you all at the table, I was the hard-working, undersized guy.
There you go.
Well, when we played Channel Islands this year because they were in our league, right?
Oh,
and
that's
so
right,
we
yeah.
go down there, and I had never been to the high school. And it's a brand new field, brand new scoreboard, Russ. They've done a lot with the field. And the head coach, he was like there back when you were, remembers you. Like I went up and talked to him, and I think his name's Gary. And I said, you know Russ Edwards? Oh, how the hell do you know Russ?
That's good stuff. Yeah, we didn't play at our own high school back then. We played our home games at Wainimi High School.
Oh, really?
And so we would just bus, and that's the closest high school to us.
Okay.
Just on the other side of Saviors, actually, just west of Channel Islands High School. And so we would bus to our home games, and it was probably around the mid-late 90s that they put the bleachers in and finished the stadium.
They were kind of doing what Bishop Diego was doing. For like varsity games, they had to go play at Santa Barbara City. Right?
Correct.
That kind of deal.
And our ASB group and our leadership group and all that kind of stuff, they tried to put like Raiders, because we were the Channel Islands Raiders, so they'd try to put like posters up everywhere and make it our home stadium, but
You still can see the other stuff on the outside.
No,
it was pretty jinky.
Yeah.
I think it's more like Cabrillo playing at Lompoc.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
At least Bishop plays at Santa Barbara City.
Where there's not another high school.
And same school colors,
Yeah.
everything's the same, so it looks good.
Yeah,
That's true. That's
black
true.
and yellow going to play at blue and white. That's got to be odd.
But that's a good analogy.
On the blue and white campus.
On
Yeah,
the blue and white campus, man.
Luckily, though, we were actually better than Wainimi High School. So,
Well, yeah, two-time champs. You better be. Shoot.
yeah, we were pretty good.
Okay. Where'd you go to college?
Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo.
Let's go. Go Stangs.
Yep. And I was there for, I don't know, a long time.
Van Wilder.
My first year at Poly, I realized that I had a back injury and I wasn't going to play football, and so I kind of floundered.
Gotcha.
And interestingly enough, your transcripts are your first year of college is your first page of your transcript, and then every year it gets deeper and deeper into your transcripts. Well, whenever early in my career, as I was applying for jobs, people would always ask me about my first year of college, and because I was under a 2.0 and almost got kicked out of Cal Poly because my cumulative for the entire first year was still under a 2.0, but luckily that spring quarter, I was above a 2.0, and the dean of math and science called me in, had a talk, and said the only reason you're still here is because you showed some progress.
Okay.
And the reason for that floundering was my mission in life to play football had ended.
Yeah.
And
Trust me, I get it.
I didn't know what I was going to do with myself.
A little bit of
And
an
so-
identity crisis, trying to find
It
yourself.
was.
at
It
the
was.
time.
I was, but it came around, and I figured it out. And so it was my second or third year at college when I decided that I was going to switch majors, get into PE, and teach and coach. And I started coaching at Slow High School while I was in college still.
So when did you come over to Nipomo?
I came over to Nipomo in 2005.
Okay.
So I coached at Slow High School in the early and mid 90s. And then I went off and got my first teaching job out in a small school east of Paso in Shandon High School. And I coached a lot of things out there in Shandon and taught a lot of subjects. And then went back to do the master's program at Cal Poly in 2001 and went back and coached at Slow High School 01 through 04. In 03, I needed to find a teaching job again because the master's program was up.
Gotcha.
And the PE job in the area that was open was at Judkins Middle School in Lucia Mar. And so I started teaching at Judkins in 03. And then, interestingly enough, in the winter spring of 05, I was coaching middle school basketball at Judkins. And we were playing Paulding. And Coach Hitchen, the first head coach at Nipomo High School, was there watching the game because Kevin, his son, was playing for Paulding. And so he was sitting with a group of Judkins parents that he knew. And they were like, oh, yeah, Russ is the defensive coordinator at San Luis Obispo High School. And so he cornered me in the Judkins gym after that basketball game and said, hey, why don't you come to Nipomo and help me get this program going? So that's how I ended up at Nipomo.
Really?
Yeah, right on.
Okay. And then 2008 was your first year as the head coach?
Yeah, so I
Or-
came
yeah,
over in
that was
5,
a junior
and
year.
I did the offensive line in 5 and helped with the offense. And then in 6, I took over as a defensive coordinator. And then in 7, I took over as the head coach.
Okay, sorry. I was thinking of graduating classes, so that's why I was saying.
Yeah.
We were 09.
That's right.
So that's why. Okay, so yeah, 2007.
Coach
was
McClurg
season of
says he always
season of
Well, here's the thing. We always, as football
Yeah.
coaches, we never talk in graduating classes.
Yeah.
It's
No,
always
right.
teams, like
Okay,
season
got
of.
that. I
So
got
we
you.
never talk like that.
I remember you clarifying that at our live event.
Yeah, it's like like one of my younger coaches is always like, "Oh no, you mean class of 16?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't care when you graduated."
the team of 15.
Yeah, it's
When
about the
did you
team.
play?
Yep.
Okay.
So that was my progression in Nipomo. Yeah.
And that's when Russ took over the DC. That's when he made me the D line coach. Something I've never done before.
Uh-huh.
And then the next year he's like, "Well, I did that because I want you to be the defensive coordinator, and you needed to learn that."
Yeah, you learned something, yeah.
John Hitchen, Coach Hitchen, had kind of let me in on the fact that he was probably going to be heading back to Rio Grande High School because his son, who was at Paulding, Kevin, wasn't coming to Nipomo High because,
Yeah.
as you know, kids want to go where their friends are,
Yep.
and so if you go to Paulding Middle School, you're going to want to go to where the school that all your buddies are going to.
100%.
So I kind of knew that progression. So when he asked me to do the defense, Josh was the young coach.
I was
also.
doing DBs at the time.
Yeah, he was gonna be. And I was like, hey man, you need to broaden your your knowledge. I've never done this. Like, you'll be all right. You'll be all right.
Well, that's when you brought the colonel to train me.
That's right.
John Durant came in and trained
Durant,
me.
man, that guy is
Well, and I
crazy.
played with Durant's son at Hancock, so
Okay.
I had already known John because I'd played with his son Matt at Hancock.
So yeah, that was the whole progression. And
so
then
I
as I
wanna-
took over in 7,
Yeah.
I already had Josh in the wings.
I want to talk about
with
your
DC.
guys' chemistry because, like, as a player, like, we fed off it because you guys. I love the fact that, like, during practices, you guys would talk shit to each other and be like, "Oh, that's a big play, let's go!" And I as a player, we love that.
I don't
Yeah.
even, dude. Quite frankly, I don't even remember that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
We probably did because he's super competitive. I'm super competitive. And I mean, I know there was times when he would talk shit, like when the
Yeah.
offense got
Oh.
a big play. With Scouto got a big play on the starting D, he would like, where you at? What are you going to do on Friday night? You know,
The entire time you'd be letting you have it. Yeah, and we fed off of it because it was like, I don't know, it kind of put like a game pressure on every play in practice because it's like, oh, I don't want Edward to talk shit about us right now. Like,
Yeah.
I got to make a play right here. You
Well,
know?
motivates you to do better for the coach that's got your back at that time. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly.
You know, especially with these guys. You know, they're good at motivating you.
well, and the one player that
in their
like,
own way.
the one player you could wind up to was Boo Boo Kano.
Oh,
like,
God.
like Ray, I could like when we were on defense, I could have him. Make sure when you go over there, go say something to Edwards, like like chirp at him, like you gonna bring a receiver that can try and beat me, just.
Oh, yeah.
And then the reverse would happen, like he'd be on offense and he'd come over and talk shit to me.
Yeah.
Boo Boo would come into the huddle with his little smile, and he'd start, and I kind of like knew what was going on. And so then I'd be like, "Hey man, we're gonna send you back to defense in a second. You go make sure those guys know what's up over there." But no, Josh and I, we've always gotten along, so nothing but love. Don't try to make us cry on this podcast.
Yeah, right. Huh?
Yeah,
No,
nothing
no
but
crying.
love. Yeah.
So first year you come in, you're OC, well, head coach OC, he's DC, and we go to the playoffs the first time in school history. What was that like? Your first year being a head coach, and you take a team for the first time.
When it was super hard to make playoffs
Yeah,
too.
in a
You know, not saying
we had a
there-
hard league. That
Not
year.
saying there's not work involved, but I mean, damn, there was
No, it was a different
two
game.
leagues. Two leagues.
It was a different game for sure.
Yeah.
And the southern section was a beast in comparison to the central section. I mean, there's a reason that, many reasons, but one of the reasons that San Ynez is coming in is for that competitive equity model, and it's different now.
Yeah.
And so, I think that, we were all super excited, and I remember, and Josh can attest to this, and this is a flashback memory, but I'm there first year as the head football coach, and it's my first year teaching at Nipomo High School, because in 05 and 06, I was still teaching at Judkins.
Gotcha.
The opening staff meeting, I'm introduced as the head football coach. And I stood up and I told the whole staff, be prepared, this will be the first year in Titans history that we're making the playoffs.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember there were some old staff members that had been there since, they were really AG guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the AG folks. And they just kind of
they all
shook their head, like.
I remember one in particular.
Yeah.
That might have coached with us a couple years prior.
But they just shook their head, and then we did it. And then I remember, you guys remember Coach Albert, Terry Albert?
Yes, I do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Breaking clipboards over his head in JV year. Oh yeah. We remember Coach Albert.
Baseball
Oh, yeah.
coaches coaching football.
But I remember, and it was meaningful because
offense.
Coach Albert had been around a long time, and whatever sport you coach, if you've got longevity in coaching, hats off to you because it is not easy. Coaching guys like Kenny and Aaron is rough. It's rough.
I can imagine.
People out there, it was rough.
Yeah.
Trust me, I coached for 3 years, and I was like, I'm gonna go be a dad. I'm good with this coaching right now.
But Coach Albert came up at the end of the season and he shook my hand after when we made the playoffs and he said, "Hey, you did it," and I still remember that as well. The thing that bothered me, or that from those early years more, was not making the playoffs in 6, because we had a really good team in 6.
Bratcher's team, Bratcher's senior year.
Yeah, and we were so close.
If it wasn't for that damn whistle on that QB sneak, I think we beat Templeton and then probably make playoffs, right?
Oh God,
I
I've blocked some of those games.
remember.
Oh, my
I don't
God,
remember the
dude.
QB sneak because we were doing defense.
Oh,
Yeah.
all
I don't remember
all
06.
Or I remember it was
Damn.
it was Billy up the middle on a fake, and Mason did like a little bootleg. Went
Yeah.
down, and they blew the whistle when he was like at the 5-yard line.
Other
Yeah,
bootleg for
I know. I
Mason.
do remember that.
And
yeah.
it was like
Yeah.
that was a big turning point in the game,
Yeah.
and kind of it cost us the season. No, cost us the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think.
We were just I don't know if it was top 3 and we were 4th that year.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And there was no at-larges or something.
Yeah.
So that was big in 7.
Yeah.
And then
Well, it was the 7th season. Okay, 7th season was our junior year, right?
junior
It
year.
was.
Yes.
If I remember right, I mean, we were predicted to do some pretty good things that year. I would say because
We had some
I know
returners.
growing up with those guys. I mean, we had a fucking squad. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And we expect to win everything we play with that. I mean, that's the team I grew up with.
Well,
The
with Chainsaw.
Cowboys. With
Yeah.
Chainsaw,
It was like,
we
we didn't
don't
lose.
go into a football game thinking we're gonna lose, considering how much we won, as a group. So the fact that obviously we'll get to the first round later or whenever.
Oh, God.
But
The N-word?
that was a real gut punch to that class and me.
Yeah.
And came out of nowhere. But that's just how it is.
That was a hell of a season.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. Obviously, making playoffs for the first time was cool. The game against St. Joe's, even though we lost, was one of my favorite games I ever got. Obviously, with my knee, I didn't play in it, but I was suited up and I was on the sidelines cheering. And it was just one of the most exciting environments I was ever around, especially going to OT. Webb jumped over, blocked that kick, and then
That was when at halftime when you guys walked
yes,
through
That-
the field.
oh, yeah.
With Boo Boo just talking mad
Yeah.
shit.
they were throwing stuff at us too.
Was that half or beginning
No,
of the
that
game?
was halftime. That was coming in at
Okay,
halftime.
okay. And then I just
Shocker, right?
every other team goes around the track to go
Yeah.
to their thing. I remember he's like, just follow us.
Yeah, it was him and Webb.
And then
Yeah,
we were
and they
just
just
like
walked.
we're just crossing the field, crossing that threshold of their sideline. And I remember PJ Cano was
Yeah.
all league, 3-4 years, offensive lineman of the year.
wasn't he a
Shout
Nipomo
out
guy?
Yeah, he's a Nipomo guy. Yeah, that's another one.
Yep.
And Jacob. And I remember him just going, okay, all right, okay. And we're just like, let's go right now.
And that was a battle.
Yeah.
That was a really good game.
I actually
it was
thought-
nice watching it too. I was like, whoa, dude, this is great.
I thought we were gonna win it just when
We should've
when
won
we
it.
took the halftime the way we did. I was like, okay, we got the mentality, we got this game. But
OT,
Russ, if
man.
you
Things
wanna
happen.
Angle your microphone just a little bit, downwards.
There we go.
Probably a little more. Yeah, right there.
Perfect.
Bad sound vibes.
Okay, so obviously, first CIF game, we go to Nordhoff and lose. That was another. I would like to say that was one of the most fun games. But the ending of it was just so heartbreaking that it was like it's hard to look back on that and think fondly of that game. But it really was. We played a really good football team, and anybody on our team knows we should have won that football game.
So I can speak on it, and then I'll let Josh speak on it. But from the offensive standpoint, you're right. I mean, it was a really good game, and Nordhoff was obviously a higher seed.
Yes.
We were on the road to them. We were the 3, I think, from our league. Or
After
maybe
losing that
Yeah.
St. Joe's game, we
right.
Remember
went
those
3.
guys in the trucks when we got there 2 hours early? They're like, "You guys are the 3 seed, we're the 1 seed." Because didn't they beat Oaks that year? I don't know.
Oh yeah. That's when Oaks was just starting. So Nordhoff
Yeah.
was the league champ.
Yeah.
And they were the 2 seed overall, I believe.
Yeah.
And so we came in expecting to win and got after them, and it was tight all the way. And from an offensive standpoint, we made the PAT to tie it there at the end. They roughed the kicker, so we got half the distance.
Was it the PA? I thought it was a field goal. We kicked a field goal.
field goal.
We kicked
Was it a
a
field
It
goal?
was a field goal, yeah.
Fernandez kicked a field goal
To tie it.
Yeah.
and then we took the points off.
They
and
roughed
then
it,
went-
correct.
Yeah.
They roughed the kicker, so then we were
Great
at the
acting
1.5, or we got half the distance.
Yeah.
And I just, the way we were there with fatigue, and I think, young sophomore Dwayne's wrist was falling off, and
Yeah.
it's like let's just get it, let's get
Yeah.
that win,
Yeah.
and so we did. I think I went speed option with Mason and Billy. To the left, because of course Mason was left-handed, or is still, not
Yeah,
was.
yeah, it was.
Mason, you are still alive out there. And we just Mason didn't pitch, and I remember Billy telling me after, I was by myself, and
Yeah.
it's like, well, these things happen. And Mason's read was he was going to get in, and he didn't get in.
Yeah.
But that's that one play doesn't encapsulate the whole game, obviously. And it's ultimately on me for making that game call. I remember post game, here's a little tidbit for you guys. Coach Alarcio, who was coaching DBs,
Yes.
who was a long time, still helps off and on with track and field, but Arroyo Grande, great alum, Cal Poly, great football player. Post game, he says, Russ, gutsy call, but don't ever take points off the board. And so that's one of those, young coach, head coach lessons that you learn, I think. I mean, the saving grace to me is we knew that we were a good team.
Yeah.
We played our butts off. We almost upset them because it would have been an upset per the seeding. And then they went all the way to the championship game and got blown out by Sarah. But they were a legit team. We didn't lose to somebody we shouldn't have.
And I'll speak for the players. I could say almost every single one of us, we wanted those points off the board and we wanted to go for the win.
Oh, yeah.
So
100%.
I understand what you're talking about as a large, but
Yeah.
if you're reading the vibe of the team, every single one of us was like, let's go get that.
We
Yeah.
were happy that
We
it was half a distance.
Yeah.
I think the first down we had like 4 or 5 yards on a blast. I think with Boo Boo, and then it was just like punch it in. Our line's huge, so I could do it. And but I'm with you on that. We wanted it. We wanted that. We wanted that dub right there.
I can say obviously I've talked to numerous of our old players on this, and all of us were like, yeah, take the points off the board and go for the win.
I know I agreed with it at the time.
Yeah.
Because,
Did I ask you?
No. I don't think you ever asked me one time. Maybe once. Hey, you guys are playing well. Cool if we go for it in fourth. I mean, but rarely do you. Especially, I'm a young DC. Like, you shouldn't ask me.
Yeah,
I'm like,
just do what you want. I'll figure it out.
I will say this, because the saying is, Nordhoff was a rival to us, so we grew up playing down there, and that is one of the toughest fields to play at. Like, they have a home field advantage with the pickup trucks.
Yeah. Yep.
All the good old boys down there. But, and I'll say defensively, young defensive coordinator, there were some adjustments I needed to make early on that I didn't, because I was like, what the shit is going on? Like, this is wing T, and now they're going on balance wing T, and this is – now, like, if I look back at that film and watch it, I'm like, oh, my God, this would have been easy. Like, looking back, like, especially if you had those huddle sideline iPads, it would have been done in a timeout.
God.
I gotta say, man, that was a damn good disciplined Nordhoff team, man. How they ran their offense.
They always were, though. I mean,
Was.
that's Russ Farrar was running that. That stuff has been ran for was like 25 years. They were running that same offense and the way they did it. So it's like that was like playing an AG or Lompo. The same offense for 25 years.
So you guys want to hear the sad story?
It's just one business.
So we drive all the way back, sad, and then, of course, we get back, and I'm watching film all night, which Josh can attest. We both used to a lot,
I still do.
Split bottle.
Post game, you're just like, well, what happened? In those tough losses, the good wins you don't dwell on them so much, but the tough losses you dwell on it, and so I get back from Nordhoff, and I don't know, we get back at 1:30 in the morning, 1 in the morning, late, and I'm watching film. And then I'm like, I needed something out of my bag. Here's the sad part. I forgot my bag in the Nordhoff locker room. So
That's rough.
It was rough. So then I had to call Coach Farrar.
That's right.
And I had to drive back the next day.
No, you didn't.
Because my wallet was in there. So I had to drive back. So
Drive back to the scene of the crime. And
Never been there ever again.
Luckily, my wife went with me and our very young newborn son. And we made a day of it in Ojai. I got my gear, and then she's like, let's go get ice cream. I'm like, I need ice cream.
I can tell you, I've been asked, like, I've been invited to things in Ojai, and I have not gone. Specifically because I'm like, dude, fuck that place.
No, there's some good places to eat there.
No,
There is.
I'm not saying there's not.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to Ojai.
There's a shitty high school we don't speak of. I will tell you, as someone who's talked about it with a lot of those guys, there's been a lot of beer and liquor spilled over that story. And also, it's either we get into it or we're like, don't bring it up.
Yeah, just shut up.
Because now it's a little, I don't know, the first 10 years was like.
It still hurts.
Damn, it hurt it hurt bad. We wouldn't talk about it. I'm like, don't bring it up. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Because, just that field goal, man. They had 5-6 dudes on me and Day.
Yeah.
And it came.
Oh yeah, so then
It came
they blocked,
somewhere
They
else.
blocked the field goal to tie it. And
God.
That's how we lost. They blocked the field goal to tie it to send it to double overtime. and that was a rough.
Wait.
ending.
They blocked
If
it
you
to
make
end the
it-
game.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
we were going to tie the game.
Oh,
to-
yeah.
to
Yes.
it.
Yeah,
And
we're
they
going to tie the
blocked it.
game. Yeah.
If it makes you feel better, we played Nordhoff this year, and we beat them for you.
Thank
So
you.
there
Thank you.
And they're still the same
I
team.
just want you
Different
to know-
offense, but they play the same.
It does make me feel better. I don't know if you understand that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it does.
The main reason that we had you guys on today was because I talked to McClurg about this before. Him wanting to do some kind of all-time list. And so we talked about like a top 10 all-time list. And then as we were going, we were able to get Russ to be able to come on the podcast and do one as well. And then they were talking about how hard it was to narrow down to 10 players, which I get. So they created their own list, and me and Kenny and Joe are going to sit back, listen to what they have to say, and comment where we feel needed. So,
I will say that my list is of the kids that I coached. So basically,
Yeah.
it's like 04-ish to 2010-ish. Like that's
Gotcha.
because I can't really, especially when you're gone out of a program. It's hard to keep remembering those kids because you don't have their siblings coming up or their or nieces and it's the things of that nature. So you kind of forget some of them as you get going.
Gotcha.
This was so hard that for Russ especially that he came into the house and was like, "Well, you wanted one list? I got 3."
So how long do you guys have to do this?
Yeah, I asked the question like, how long is this podcast? How many minutes do we have? So Josh gave his disclaimer, and I'll give mine now. I wasn't there the first 2 years, so I'm not going to talk on those first couple. And then I basically have done a top 10, first 10. So and so it goes through 2012. So and I really only focused on like seniors. So if you were a junior in 2012, you're not on my list. They'll have to have us back on after next year.
That'll be the next 10, right?
Plenty of
That'd be
content.
the next
There you go.
10, right? To 22, right? That'd be 13 through 22.
Oh, that's right.
And we can
And
do
we can get a
do
saying as
the-
one and a.
We can do the second decade.
Yeah.
There you go.
All I'll tell you about is the kids I had to game plan against.
There you
That's
go.
all.
Yeah, that's it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'd love a saying as one too. That'd be some good
Oh, yeah.
content too
Yeah.
later.
All right.
You got your seer goods on?
I got my old man glasses on. There we go.
The old spectacles.
Yeah, the readers.
So how do we want to do this?
I don't know. I want to go top 10. Let's go top 10. You have a top 10 skill, right?
I have a top 10 skill. Correct.
Let's do that because my top 10 has a couple of linemen in it.
Gotcha.
But it's mainly because I'll make my disclaimer. Please, no one get mad at me. I don't really like offensive players. Even as a head coach to this day, I still
true.
every year our quarterbacks, I tell them, hey, I hate your position. I'm going to be on your ass nonstop because I don't like that you think you're the best. So that's just me. I like defensive guys better.
I love it.
I'll go with my number 10. This is my top 10, and my number 10 player is a lineman, and he, I believe, was captain. He actually TA'd for me as well, and just an all-around good guy, great leader, and that's Ben Cannon. For those of you that don't remember Ben, Ben's a guy, and I think Russ and I kind of talked the other day, like if you were going to start a team right now, you look back at those 10-year or those 8 years we were there, Ben Cannon's a guy I'd want on my line.
Very good. And linemen out there, you know I got love for you. I've coached line a lot of years. And so I broke it down. I couldn't do a top 10 and potentially exclude linemen. So I'm going to do the top 10 skill positions first, and then I have a separate top 10 lineman list. So my number 10 skill position guy is from the first year I was coaching at Nipomo High School. A lot of heart, coach's son. I think he's still from that decade, from those 10 years. I believe he's number 5 in tackles, and that's Paul Manazar.
Yes.
Yeah, and his dad was actually one of my all-star football coaches in 1994 when I wore this helmet. He was coaching at Rigetti.
He's actually a good friend of mine. Our wives work together. Me and him hang out all the time.
Oh, Paul's a great
yeah,
guy.
Paul's awesome.
Yeah, and Eris, good
Shout
guy.
out Paul.
Shout out to Paul.
Paul?
Paul's everybody out there watching. I've been working with Paul, and Paul's getting his coach clearance stuff right now. And
Really?
we're going to get a youth wrestling program going. Look, I'm doing a shameless plug here right now for you.
There
Paul.
you go.
Plug away.
We're gonna get a youth wrestling program going at Nipomo High School, and Paul's gonna run it.
That's awesome. Yep.
All right, my number 9 guy, and I hate quarterbacks. I literally don't like them. But this guy did want to play linebacker as well. And when we brought him up to CIF when he was a sophomore, he's out there repping. He's wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. He thinks he's going to be the next starting linebacker. Josh Correa is number 9 for me.
Josh, buddy.
And for myself, I actually have a quarterback here as well, and that's the first guy that I coached when I came on to help Coach Hitchen. That first year, I was helping with the offense, and Mason Sparakis was a young sophomore and starting quarterback, and so my number 9 was Mason Sparakos.
He was on my list. I had like 7 different iterations of this. I just kept like erasing them and scratching them out.
I love it.
My number 8 guy is another lineman. He's the first all CIF player in school history at Nipomo. And that's Garrett Rogers. Garrett was a stud, started since
Garrett
sophomore
Rogers
year.
is an absolute
Couldn't agree
stud.
more.
And I mean, I think I remember him like power cleaning 230 or 330 or 315, something crazy like that. The dude could lift.
He's still number 1 on our boards in almost every lift.
Yeah,
It's
unbelievable.
He's a monster.
It's either Garrett or Corbin.
Yeah.
Like,
It's got to be one of
boom,
those
boom,
two,
boom, boom.
for sure.
You mean Beer Jesus? I
Beer
believe
Jesus.
that's Corbin's
Jesus.
name. There you go, Bose. I follow you on social media.
Oh my
Hell yeah.
gosh. The wonderful adventures of Corbin Bowes.
Oh my god.
God, if I had to redo my life, I might follow in his pathway.
Right?
He's having the most fun anyone can have.
Oh, jeez.
My number 8 is a two-way stud for us from that 7 team. And he was a receiver and a corner, and is still, from that decade, those first 10 years, he's in the top 3 with respect to DB stats and receiver stats, and that's Kyle Webb.
Webb was a stud.
I wholeheartedly agree, and he is my number 7.
There you go.
I mean, same reason. I remember my first win as a defensive coordinator. Remember, I got flagged. Webb. We were playing Lompoc. We beat him 14-7. Webb intercepts the ball, and I run onto the field celebrating.
That was actually, I mean, you guys asked about that first year. That was my very first game as the head coach was a game against Lompoc. We played them in the opening week.
No, we played Bishop.
We played Bishop.
Oh, that's right.
Bishop.
We played Bishop.
And we lost to Bishop.
Yeah, and I screwed the pooch defensively.
Oh, that's right. So anyway, but I have that game ball. That was my first win as the head
That's so
coach.
cool.
And so I still have that game ball in my that Lompoc game ball in my.
I blew my knee out the week of Bishop Diego.
That's
I
right.
remember. Oh, it still hurts. And I walked through practice.
17 years old, needed a back replacement and a knee replacement.
Dude.
Make sure you edit that out for Aaron. Make sure you edit that out. Trauma.
I remember watching that. I thought it was your back, and with that because the
It
way
was
you
so
bent
awkward, dude.
during. Who hit you?
Brandon Mother effing Rainey.
Oh,
dude.
he hit anyone.
It was on a drag. I remember standing right behind
The
it.
second to last play of practice,
Brandon was a
we were just, it was like one of those finish it out kind of plays of practice. Like, we're going to run this, and we got one more to go. I'll never forget it.
Touchdown for good vibes to end the
Yeah.
practice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Brandon Rainey tackled me.
Is that me now? 7?
Yep. You're on 7.
My number 7. So McClurg wouldn't have this young man on his list because he's a 2012 senior, and he is actually number 2 receiver marks of that decade, and then was a stud defensive player for us as an outside backer, and that's Ian Wilkinson.
Yep.
If you remember, he played for me as a sophomore. That was my last year.
that's right.
And I remember pushing for him to come up as a sophomore to play for us because I liked the way he played defense.
Yeah, he was a stud.
My number 6, and it's not based on what you do after, but it's based on what he did as a corner for us. He made us be able to run the bear cover 0 and bear 3, and that's Akeem King. Akeem wasn't like a great high school standout, but defensively, what he was able to allow me to do corner-wise, to blitz nonstop and play cover 0 with him and Britt, that's why Akeem's on my list for me.
That's because me and Bratcher works for me now. And so I see Bratcher every day. Me and him were talking about this. And he goes, "What about Akeem?" And I go, "I don't know about Akeem." I was like, because he was not the best high school football player. He went to San Jose State, and they built him into a football player.
Yeah, he ended up being a really good corner for us, and that begat because we were at the Coast Union Passing League tournament, and Joey Ruiz was actually starting with Kevin, and he had an injury, and I'm like, "What the hell am I gonna do, Russ?" He's like, just play whatever we called 20 or too high man under
21.
Yeah, whatever we called it, and you're like, just stick in that the whole time. And we're watching him. I'm like, okay, dude can play.
Yeah, he's the next guy.
So Akeem, if you're watching, you're not on my list because I went with high school stuff. If we had a list of accomplishments
number one.
beyond, then you're number 1, Akeem.
100%.
Shout out there.
So if you want to donate to St. His High School instead, because I put you on the list, so be it. Potato. We're not going to tell anyone.
Sure would be cool if you
Nicely
watched this.
Yeah, right.
And ultimately, here's the story for you guys. So I was always recruiting the campus, as you guys know, and so every year I would think of who are all the athletes on campus that we need to try to get. So I tried 3 different times to get Jeff McNeil to come out and play. Yeah. I even sent a letter to his house. And same with Ryan. I tried to get Ryan to come out and play.
Ryan, yes.
Ryan, I definitely could have seen him.
Jeff.
We even had there was
He's
a time.
a little frail.
There's a time when Ryan was in the gym. I'm getting off topic here, but Ryan was in the gym and he's dunking pre-practice for basketball.
Yeah.
And I had a college recruiter there, and Ryan's literally just one-stepping and two-hand dunking from under the rim, and and the college recruiter comes and says, "Who's that guy?" And I said, "His name's Ryan. He doesn't play football." He said, "Call him over." And so I called Ryan over, and the guy said, "Hey, man, if you'll guarantee me that you're going to play football for the next 2 years for Coach Edwards, we'll give you a scholarship right now." Ryan looked at him. He said, "No, I'm going to be a professional baseball player."
I mean,
True story.
Yeah,
True story.
he's a 3rd round pick, so he did it.
It all worked out. Ryan, shout out to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it me?
Yeah.
Number six. This is also from that first 2005 group, and that's a two-way stud, all-around stud. I believe he was the MVP of the 2005 team, and that's Lucas Marsalic.
Oh, yeah.
Lucas was a stud, and that's my number 5, Lucas Marsalic.
Great wrestler, right?
Yeah.
Too. That was his. Am I wrong?
That was Paul.
That was Paul.
Paul was the great.
That was
okay,
No,
Paul.
Lucas.
I knew
was,
Paul was a good one.
Lucas was a stud. Here's the thing: the funny story about
Basketball,
Lucas.
right? Yeah.
So Lucas would cramp nonstop. So we ended up his senior year having a cooler of Gatorades, and every time he'd come off, he would pound 2 Gatorades. Well, by the 3rd quarter, he'd have to piss after he'd pissed at halftime, and so we wore black pants. And I remember telling him,
way.
and I'm like, dude, this used to happen to me in college. I'm on 15-minute quarters. You'd have to get used to this. You just piss your pants. And he's like, all right, cool. And so then it just became this tradition. He'd come tap on my shoulder and be like, "Hey, coach, I'm pissing my pants."
That's pretty awesome.
Lucas, sorry, Josh just told that story.
You were wearing black pants. There is no evidence besides my anecdotal story that could or could not be true.
Yeah, this has not been verified.
Yeah, no.
And my 5, I cheated. I went with 2 guys who were primarily offensive players from, probably the best overall team from that era. And that's 2009 seniors quarterback Josh Correa and SLO County Player of the Year, Eric Penningroth.
Penningroth was a sneaky stud.
Yeah, Penningroth, and so I'll just put it this way: he's my number 5 player. We keep going back and forth, but Penny could have played both ways if we needed him to.
Yeah, Penny was a stud.
He was a stud. He was sneaky, tough to tackle. He never, he's a very poor man's Barry Sanders that way.
Yeah.
He never gave you one time, I think his junior year, he got hammered by Nick Lydon from Pioneer Valley.
I remember that.
Funny.
He fumbled
Eric
3 times that game.
Yeah.
That was the roughest.
Penningroth and I were just at Mesa Gym, Mesa Middle School Gym, just a couple nights ago, watching my son wrestle in an 8th grade wrestling match. Penny's mom, Camille, and Eric came to watch and support, and Eric actually talked about that. Do you remember when Lydon lit me up?
Sure. I remember watching. That was the first clip on his highlight reel on YouTube.
Do you remember when Lydon lit him up in the San Luis passing thing?
Oh, we talked about that too.
Yeah.
That's
So
what I really remember.
Here's the
lit
story
him
on
up.
that, right? So I ran Eric on the R quick, or whatever, and so he's crossing, and Lydon's playing linebacker, and Lydon just blows and just sent him flying.
It was bad.
It was bad,
Yeah.
really bad. And so Eric's tough, thankfully, right? And so I look over at Greg Dickinson, who was the PV head coach then, and Greg loved all you Nipomo kids.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Obviously, because Kyle
we played with Kyle. Yeah.
Right, exactly, because you all played with Kyle.
He's a
and
day one guy,
He
really.
knew all you guys and loved all you guys. And so Greg had this look on his face where I couldn't tell if he was concerned about Eric's safety and well-being, because he was really good friends with Kent and Camille.
Rest in peace, Kent.
Rest in peace,
That's
Kent.
right. Rest in peace, Kent. Or if he was really happy with Nick's hit. Right?
I mean, it was a great play.
I couldn't
just
tell.
not in passing league.
I think it might have been a combination of both.
Yeah.
It very well could have
Yeah.
been. So the very next play, I don't know if you guys remember this. I mean, you all remember the hit, but the very next play, I went Trey right, and we went R wheel, and Eric scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
Did he? I
Yes.
don't remember that.
Oh yeah,
I remember that.
And Greg looked at me and he smiled and he said, "Nice recovery."
Yeah. I don't remember that.
I said, in my head, I said, Eric needed something at that moment.
A mental. I got to say something about Penny, and I've said this almost my whole time. Is he's one of my favorite players ever.
Yeah.
Like just the way he plays, gets his ass hit and gets back up, runs
And
to the huddle.
My favorite thing was when he had like 2 periods
He was
at
amazing.
AG, so he'd always wear on game day his Nipomo jersey to AG.
Yeah, I remember that.
I freaking love that, man. I loved it. He'd go there and do that.
Great
He
family.
did help me pen the term "the dumbest smart guy I know" because he would say some of the dumbest common sense stuff ever, and I'd be like, "Man, you are the dumbest smart guy I know." And so every year I pick out one of the smartest kids on our team now, and like, dude, you get the Eric Penningraph
There you go.
award. And I say it now, it's saying it is. You're the dumbest smart kid.
I teased Eric, and we're talking a lot on Eric, but he deserves it. But I teased Eric at the gym. We were talking about all the the story, same thing we're doing here, just BSing and telling stories. And so he was talking about football and Cal Poly and how he went and did camp and went to Ivy League schools and he was being recruited. And so I remember, and I shared with him, I was like, Eric, one of my favorite Eric Penningroth stories was when, and this encapsulates Eric to a T, when the head coach from Cornell University is on our campus to recruit Eric. And we're sitting in our football office, and we're watching film. And we're rewinding, and we're showing him like the T-Rex package and how Eric calls everything. And he's asking Eric questions about each play. And then at the end of it all, he says to Eric, so tell me, Eric, and literally it's the head coach. Head coaches don't come to campuses unless they're serious about you.
Yeah.
It's the head coach. And he says, tell me, Eric, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love football? And Eric said, I don't know, like a 6. Jesus. Recruitment over.
Scholarship gone.
Delete.
Oh man.
So I shared that story with Eric the other night at Mesa Middle School, and Eric was cracking up, and he goes, "Oh, I know." He goes, "I think everybody thought I should love it more than I loved it."
Well,
and
that's-
in my mindset, I knew that all along, and so we
Yeah.
always had that relationship. like I'd always tell him in practice, like, bro, you need to try to be a leader. You need to work harder. I know this is easy for you because every sport Eric was good at.
He's just a great athlete.
So shout out to you, Eric. Sorry for sharing that maybe a 6 story.
Love you, Eric.
Everybody at the table's jealous.
No, it makes total sense.
It's
Penny.
Like knowing
great.
Penny,
Yeah.
that's the perfect answer for Penny.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I remember Russ
loved
telling
it.
me that because I went in afterwards and I'm like, yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah, that's Penny.
Sounds like something he'd say.
and he was honest to himself. That was great.
Always.
Right, you're up.
Oh, is it 4?
Yep, 4 for you.
4, I got another team MVP. This is from that 2007 season. The heart and soul, these guys told the story of him leading the group out at St. Joe's that night in the overtime loss. And just a tough player. Heart and soul of that team and one of the all-time great Titans, and that's Boo Boo, Ray Cano.
Love Boo Boo.
Yep.
He is the man, and my number 4 is Ray Boo Boo. And a great story because Ray now works in Solvang. He works for my sister-in-law. He does. He works for the city of Solvang.
That's great.
Does a lot of maintenance stuff there. And I had Ray ready to coach like 4 years ago or 3 years ago. He already filled out the paperwork, good to go.
At San Ynez?
At San Ynez. And he's like, Coach, I want to coach for you. This will be fun. And then baby on the way.
Yep.
And then he calls me. He's like, yeah, my whatever I don't know if she was fiance or wife at the time. She said no. And I'm like, I understand that. I've been there before. But I loved coaching Ray. He was one of my favorite players. Not so much. I mean, he's awesome on the field. But what I loved most about him was, like we talked about earlier, the shit talking in practice.
Yep.
The way he could get at me. He'd get at freaking Russ. Then he'd get at, he'd go over and run scout offense. When he came out at corner, that's the kid that never, there's a lot of starters when they're subbed out and someone's rotating in for him, that they'll just take a break. Not Ray. He would go tap the freaking the scout tailback out, and he'd go run scout tailback, and he'd be back there, and he'd look at me on the inside, and he goes, "Coming at you, McClurg, touchdown."
Yep.
He would just he was nonstop talking shit, and that was one of my favorite players still to this day to coach.
And he, man, for not being a very big dude, hit so damn hard. Yeah. I remember being, I ran. I think Edward just loved letting me get lit up on crossing routes.
Yeah.
Because I had I ran this crossing route.
You were a decoy,
Oh,
really.
dude. No, well, not
You
on
need to
this play.
blame your quarterback for throwing it to you.
I caught the ball. Mason threw it to me, I know, no, it was De La Rosa. De La Rosa threw me a freaking one, and he threw it way in front of me, so I had to reach to catch it. And in practice, you usually don't light up your teammates. Boo Boo fucking destroyed me. I mean, I'll never forget it. I was like, I had the air taken out of me. It's the only time in high school that I had the air taken out of me.
Well, that's
And I was
because
like,
he played for the Nipomo Cowboys, and that's a chainsaw chambers rule.
oh my God.
Everything is full speed.
Dude. Hey, can I get another one too?
That's a chainsaw rule.
Yeah, he absolutely lit me up. The hardest I've ever been hit in practice. Okay, so who we got? Is it
Number 3 now,
number
right?
3 for Coach?
Is it me?
Russ Edwards?
Or you first?
Oh no, yeah, no, my number 3 was Ray Boo Boo Kano.
Okay.
So you're up.
All right, my number 3 is another two-way stud who really, because that 2009 team was so loaded, we had the good fortune to really have him play mostly defense and focus on D. And he is, in that 10-year period, he's the number 2 guy in tackles, and almost he's either 1 or 2 in every category from that period, and that is Dwayne Hannah.
Might possibly be the most physically gifted kid to ever play at Nipomo.
For me, that's probably the most physically gifted, naturally gifted athlete I think I've ever coached. I mean, there's a couple of guys. Gabe Prendergrass is saying is the tall receiver we had, who was kind of did things effortlessly, and Mike McCoy. Remember that scrambling quarterback we had? Those 3 guys are the top 3 for me that I have ever coached. Just could naturally move.
Dwayne Hannah, in my opinion, is the best. I know you guys have your opinions. In my opinion, he is the best player that's ever played in Nipomo. I think that dude is, and I feel like had he tried more, it would be a no-brainer. He's the best, or not tried more, but I guess.
Dwayne, I think, was, and so, Dwayne is huge now. Dwayne, if you're watching,
Yeah,
shout out to being
fucking
huge.
monster.
And I'll share this story on Dwayne is we did one of those alumni basketball games.
Yeah.
And I don't know, this is 5-6 years ago. And Dwayne came to play. And Dwayne was, and I hadn't seen Dwayne in a few years. And so now he's just yoked.
Doing his bodybuilder thing.
Yeah. And I
Jacked.
said, jacked. And I said, Dwayne, bro, you're huge. And he said, you know how Dwayne talks. He goes, coach. He goes, yeah, I should have listened to you in high school. He goes, I love to lift now. I was like, yeah, if you had loved to lift when you were in high school, you would have been playing at UCLA.
Yeah.
Or, like, he was
So good.
so good.
Lifting, and if he just liked to get a 3.0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because here's a great
we're
story about
close.
Dwayne. So Josh Rodriguez, I don't know if you guys remember Mr. Rodriguez. He was the ag
Yeah.
teacher at Nipomo. He's at AG now. So we're playing Sarah that 2009 year in the quarters. And they had, 12 Pac-12 guys on that team.
Robert Woods, namely. Like,
Yeah,
was
but they
a
had,
stud.
Paul Richardson's, Marquise Lee, Ben Bernwinke, who's still, I think, playing defensive back in the NFL. But they had a guy, George Farmer, who, full ride to USC. He was a junior at the time.
Yeah.
And so Rodriguez did the chains. So he's on the visiting sideline. And my little brother, who came to all the games, is standing right next to him. And they did this tight bunch trips set, and they would toss the ball to Farmer. They would move Farmer to the tailback and toss him. And Dwayne freaking knocked him out, concussed him right in front of Chip Kelly and Jeff Tedford.
Oh, wow.
Really?
And so Jeff Tedford looks at Josh Rodriguez and goes, who the hell is that? That's a full ride right there. And Rodriguez goes, yeah, he's got a 2.6, so he's not making it to Cal.
Oh,
But
my
it was
gosh.
it was funny. I mean, that's how good Dwayne was. I mean,
Yeah.
just knocking one of the top recruits out in the freaking nation.
That story gives me kind of like
Yeah.
goosebumps just listening
Dwayne,
to that.
when I think back on my time playing, there was no better football
No,
player that
yeah.
I played with. That was
I mean, no one hit me harder ever during.
Kyle Dickinson is
That.
the person that hit me the hardest in
Yeah.
my entire life.
Kyle Dickinson. Really? Kyle Dickinson
Oh my
hit
God.
hard, dude.
Dude,
Kyle
I
Dickinson
don't think
hit
you
hard.
understand. Do you know the
Something about that helmet he wore, dude.
the
I don't know what
dinosaurs,
it was.
the dinosaurs with the hard heads that just
Yeah.
ram into shit?
Yeah.
Kyle Dickinson.
That's it.
I
No
was
joke.
telling you,
I was
puts-
talking to
Oh my
I was
God.
talking to his dad. I still see Greg a lot.
Yeah.
And shout out to my wife. My wife actually
Melanie.
she cleans houses. This is not a shameless plug. She doesn't want any more clients. But one of her clients is Kyle Dickinson, and then she also does Greg and Linda's house. So she's connected with them. We talk a lot. So I was talking to Greg, and we were talking about these old, good old years, and Kyle as our fullback. And I was telling Greg, like, Kyle very well. I mean, he's a top 2 fullback
Yeah.
in Nipomo High School history. And Greg's like, huh? I was like, bro, your son was so smart. He's a coach's son.
Yeah.
He was so smart. And you could tell him one time, like, we would do that we'd run blast. Everybody knows I run blast a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a great play.
Be prepared for 30% of blast when you
Yeah.
play in Nipomo if Edwards is the OC. So, but we would do it where we would put the fullback in the wing, and then we would bring him like around and through. And so there were some fullbacks we'd had where they were like just didn't understand the concepts. Like, no, you're still blocking the same guy. You're
Yeah.
just doing it from a different angle.
Different pathway, bro.
And Kyle would knock people out from
trying to tell you.
that Richmond Lexington little
The
tight.
hardest hitter
he
I've
was
ever.
a hard hitter.
And I played with Kyle my whole life because I played Little League. And like every year that I play with Kyle, he's the person who hit me the hardest. Even against other teams, anything, when they're trying to cheap shot you, any of that, a hit from Kyle Dickinson was the hardest I've ever been hit. That guy's a
Dude, I
stud.
swear, like he just he had a certain helmet he wore his
telling you,
whole
dude.
damn life, and it just was so
hard.
I don't
It was so
understand
fucking
it,
hard,
man.
man.
It's
Was it like
weird,
the
dude.
Mark Kelso helmet?
Oh my God.
He had a bubble.
Yeah, he had a bubble
He
helmet,
had a
right?
bubble
Yeah.
helmet.
Oh my God.
One of the
He
first
hurt.
guys.
He
Yeah.
hurt, dude. He really did.
Real quick, shout out to Melanie Teixeira because Greg Dickinson is actually her supervisor at work.
That's
Oh,
correct.
nice.
Look
Yeah,
at
buddy.
that. Look at you getting the shameless plug in.
Hi, Melanie.
That's so I don't get in trouble.
They're engaged.
Yeah, I do
Yes.
know.
Okay.
Hey, I
Yes.
follow you guys on social media.
There we
I
go,
see
there we
everything
go.
that happens. I'm up on everything. I follow the Book of Faces,
There we
Snapface,
go.
all that good stuff. Well, and I screwed up. Boo Boo was my number 3, not number 4, because
Okay.
I was ahead of Coach. My number 2 is Kevin Britt. I mean,
KB.
Two-way guy. He was a stud for us. I think one of my favorite performances of him is when we were actually playing San Ynez on that Halloween night, and we won 48 or 46-42, whatever, when Angel picked off that pass and went.
Yeah.
And we had done all those 2-point conversions. But that was his first game back from a high ankle sprain. And he was banged up at halftime, and that guy still came back in that game.
Yeah.
It wasn't a spectacular Kevin Britt performance, but it was like a gutsy one. And then again, defensively, his senior year, I remember on Wednesday, somebody was out. I don't know if it was Angel or if it was Garrett, and we had no subs on the linebacking core. We were really weak. Part of the reason why I went to the Bear, and Russ just comes back to me and Crocker and goes, I just have Britt play Will. And so, and it was actually against San Ynez, and we started Britt at Will. For the first half, he played Will.
And I'm sure he played great.
He did. Yeah, first play of the game, they had the Scott Arlano kid that was a stud. First play of the game, we knew what they were going to run. They were going to run stretch, outside stretch, and frickin' Britt lit him up for -2, and the game was over.
Yeah.
Right there, first play.
I'll tell you another play just like that, I would say, and that's AG.
Oh, lit that
They
dude up.
did. I don't remember what it was. It was a little running back. They sent the running back in the flat, threw it to him. Kevin just lit him up, and that was like one of the first. That was the first or
was the
second
first drive, I think.
First drive, and we scored easily on the first drive, and it was over from there. You could tell it on their sideline.
Speaking of that AG game,
Dude, I have that in my head. That video of him knocking that dude
so
out.
I wasn't. Me, Kev, Dwayne, and Eric were the captains that game,
Yeah.
and we left right before McClurg's speech.
Yeah.
And I will tell you right now,
Hell of a speech, let me tell you,
dude. I was walking out, and I could hear the first half of his speech.
Full disclosure, I always left the locker room when McClurg was going to speak, so that
dude.
so I could have deniability. I have no idea what you're talking about.
You took every coach with you but me and Head and
Head,
and
yes.
Vintage,
And,
because
the
Vintage
young
was-
guys, the young guys.
And you're like, because I asked Russ if I could have him that
Yeah.
game. And, I remember that speech. That was
Well,
fun.
Coach Vintage too.
my.
Coach Vintage was a very quiet dude.
That was a speech.
I remember he wasn't a rah coach.
Yeah.
And before that game, he told us when he was at the salon or the salon, the barber,
The barber shop,
and the
yeah.
dude was talking shit about Nipomo. And I can tell you that was the speech I heard. And so then we went out on that one. We didn't go out on yours.
Yeah.
We went on that one, and we were the four of us were like, "Let's go!" And then we're walking out, and we're getting names called at us by all the fans as we're walking out.
stuff thrown on you.
And it was one of those things where I remember just being like, we're in their head already.
Yeah.
Like I think, you know, and then we got on the field. They didn't shake our hands in the line. And I remember going back to the sidelines, and I was like, they didn't shake our hands.
The best part when we were walking out, like I was in front of everyone,
Yeah.
and so I told the guys they're going to throw shit at us. We want it.
Yeah.
And so I just remember like doing this as we're walking out, like throw it at us. Let's go. And they started
You
throwing
would never
Gatorades.
instigate things.
Nachos, and hot dogs.
And
bro.
as they're throwing stuff at them, I'm just looking back to the boys. I'm like, this is what we want.
Yeah.
We got them.
And like if I remember, there was standing room only on that blacktop.
Oh yeah, it was crazy.
I remember there's nachos with chili
And-
beans on them coming on.
and I
us.
got to put it in there. We beat the ever living shit out of
24-0.
them too. Just put that in there for you guys.
I'm not gonna say a word because we haven't beat them since.
Yeah.
hey, hey, me and Kenny are undefeated.
I'm not saying anything either.
hey.
I have to play AG now.
Oh, Kenny, get over. Don't leave me hanging, dude.
baby.
Never lost.
So wait, your speech was well, this might be a speech or something else. Was it about hitching?
It's
Was
that,
it
I
about-
think we'll
No, we won't.
we'll leave that in the locker room.
yeah. We'll leave it alone.
Which I think that's just better left.
Yeah, yeah.
All I know is that from being on the
had to
field,
clarify
I could
myself.
I could hear you all in the locker room. I was like, yeah, the boys are ready. We got this game. And then at halftime, I'll never
on that
forget.
field right now.
The whole team was running to the locker rooms, and I didn't even notice. I was looking at the crowd, and I'm like, let's go. And then you come up behind me, and you go, it's not over. Get your ass in the fucking locker room. Like that. And I was like, oh, shit. I turned around, and I realized that the team's like at the end zone. I was like, oh, shit. I
You're
just
doing
ran.
your typical celebration. I'm like, dude, there's a whole half to go, man. Wait.
I knew it was over.
So you're at your number 2, Russ.
My number 2. This is post Coach McClurg, and he's just a tackling machine. And I'm partial to team MVPs. I had Dwayne as 3, and Dwayne's arguably the top football player, pure football player like we talked about. But I like guys who are nonstop hard workers and just do everything, both sides of the ball. So my number 2 is 2011 senior JT Wells.
Totally understandable.
He's number 2 all time. He was number 1 all time in that era, that 10-year period.
Who's
Total tackles.
ahead of him now?
Jesse Garza?
Terry Wumble.
Oh, really?
Oh, that kid was a tackling machine.
He
for
was
you.
a tackling.
Yeah.
He was just like JT,
He was a bitch to deal with, like, because we game planned against him, and it's like
So fast.
It's
So
like very hard to run
leverage,
blast against him.
unbelievable leverage.
And even like power, like coming off of a double to him, he would find any crease to cut through, or he could get over the top really quick. Yeah, he was a good player.
So yeah, JT is my number 2.
Yeah, I totally see that. I only coached JT that I think his junior year. So one of the smartest individuals I've ever coached. A student of the game.
Coach's son. You can
Yeah,
tell.
you can always tell. Coaches' sons make
Yeah.
up for everything they lack in physical, like natural God-given ability with their mind, and sometimes it's more valuable to be
All
smarter.
the Wells boys were studs, though, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it comes to my number 1, and I cheated, and I gave a co-number 1. And so my number 1 goes to quite possibly one of my favorite guys to coach their senior year, and that's Dwayne Hanna. I mean, Dwayne, we've already talked about him, but I could say this. Like, the kid started out as, our ace outside linebacker, and junior year he was hurt off and on. He went from ace to Will to Mike. Going into his senior year, we actually – a lot of people don't remember this, but we repped him at free safety for half the summer. And then we just kind of realized we were better when we went to this Bear defense and putting him at 6.5 yards deep and just letting him run sideline to sideline. And I've never seen a kid with the hips to be able to – he could decide if he's going to punch and swim or punch and rip or really quick dip underneath. He could avoid so many blocks in space. Probably he's one of the greatest linebackers I've ever coached and one of the best players I've ever coached. Yeah. And then again, he could have been a starting tailback if he was a tailback only. He was so good. That play his junior year where he got the Liz Frank injury, where he like puts his hand down, spins, that hit and scatter or whatever. Remember that screen? And then, I mean, that was a huge play. I mean, like plays like that he would make. I mean, he just so naturally gifted. And then the other co-number one I had is Corbin Bose. Corbin could literally do anything. He was unblockable at the nose. I mean, he's like the prototypical zero tech, demands a triple, and still fights down the line and chase someone down on a sweep.
Yep.
And then played offensive line. That year, his senior year, he had 2 jersey numbers, right? We lined him up at tight end. He caught a pass. I mean, you could do so much with Corbin, and Corbin was just, like I said, he's living his best life now. But he was a lot of fun to coach, a kid that just kind of enjoyed the game.
And his senior year, wasn't he going through like a herniated disc or something?
Yeah,
too?
yeah, he had bad back issues.
He had a horrible back issue. I remember that, and Yeah.
And his
I think
his nose would bleed every play.
Dude,
we
I
had
remember
tampons in his nose.
his nose.
I think you and him are still on the list for a back replacement, right? When
I
when
wouldn't
the
doubt it.
FTA,
We're there.
Yeah.
but those are my number ones. Those two guys that I coached, and that's no disrespect to anyone else. I mean, there's a lot of guys that could be right up there, but just for me, defensively, those two guys.
I'm gonna tell you right now, that's probably my top 2 players that I think I've ever played with in Nipomo, were Corbin and Dwayne.
Oh, for sure.
I agree with you. That's awesome.
And then I'm glad that Josh figured out how to sneak 11 guys in, just like I did. I did that with my 5s, and
I had 13 at one point.
And remember, this is just skill positions for me, so I didn't even include my alignment here. And I'm going to give a shout out to my alignment in a minute, but my number 1 is another team MVP, and from that super talented 2009 year. And again, it's just like I said with JT and with Boo Boo. Before that is I really value the guys that work hard, and I can say Kevin Britt is my number 1, and he came in as the fastest guy in the school.
Yes.
And he continued to improve. He came in as a 140-pound probably string bean, and he left at, 175, 180, benching 300 pounds.
One of the strongest guys on the team. Like, it was
Seriously.
sneaky
He was so strong.
how strong he
That
was.
transformation that happened, by the time his senior year in the weight room was freaking unbelievable.
And that was just a testament to his hard work. And I was privy to the hard work because as his track coach as well. So, we hoped that he would be a leader and never had to, coax it out of him. Like I already shared that I would have conversations with Penny at practice, like, we need more from you. But Kevin always gave everything he had in practice and in games and in the weight room and at the track and everything. So supremely talented, but also a really hard worker.
Funny thing, story when you mentioned track. So I was just talking about this at track the other day. It just, for some reason, that era right there in 2009, that track team we had, I think we ran a 42-1 electrical 4x1, and Akeem pulled his hamstring. It was at county champ or league.
So, yeah, it actually, Akeem pulled the hammy at our inter-squad.
That's right. But when we ran
But we finally brought him back, and it was either league or county. And
I think it was league, 'cause we were league
and Akeem
champs.
ended up jogging the last 10 to 20 meters
so fast.
and we won by 20 meters.
And it was the 42-1 or 42-2, and I remember going to Krill. I look at him, I'm like, dude, that's a 41.5, right? If he doesn't pull up, and he's like, at the slowest.
Yeah.
They were a little. Another funny Eric Pendergrass story, but talking with Eric, because I've been talking with Eric quite a bit over the last couple of years, as he came home to help mom and rest in peace Kent, as his dad was going through what he was going through. But talking to Eric's worst memory athletically was not having the ability to run as fast as they could have in the 4x1.
Yeah.
Really?
At CIF, because Akeem just never was able to get right.
Get healthy.
And so we ended up at CIF running, and it was, you talk about the group, right? It was Eric to Kevin to Dwayne to Akeem.
Oh, to Dwayne. I didn't know Dwayne was in it.
Oh, dude.
Shit.
Dwayne ran a
Okay.
15-second 110 hurdles.
Yeah, no,
he was league champ in the hurdles.
He's a stud. Okay.
That was like a league
Jesus.
championship track
So
team.
we were
Gifted.
at CIF prelims, and we're at Costa Mesa, and in our heat is Crespi and modern,
Powerhouses.
Oh, it's powerhouse schools. We were leading by 5 meters when Dwayne handed off to Kenny Cromer, and the only reason Kenny Cromer's there is because Akeem wasn't healthy,
and
he couldn't
Akeem
be
only
there.
triple jump because we knew he could make it to state and triple jump, right? Remember that? Because he did triple, didn't he?
He didn't even go that.
Oh, I thought he
senior
tripled
year.
on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
senior
didn't
year.
even go.
That was his junior.
Yeah, yeah. So, and of course Kenny got passed and by 3 teams. Zoom on that
Yeah.
on that anchor leg.
God.
But that group was a special group for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, very
That class. It was a class of 2010, but the team of 09.
so
That-
talented.
Absolute studs. I agree.
Yeah.
And in the first 10, I think, that was the best team.
Yeah, and Kevin, funny, I know Kevin did not like me until his senior year. I knew he hated me. He made it known.
Yeah.
And then we finally bonded his senior year, and it was like, okay, he kind of saw through it. I get it. I wouldn't have liked me either.
The first few weeks of my freshman year, I hated you.
Nobody likes
and
me
then-
still, Josh. So it's okay.
What's
start
the old
talking
saying?
sports.
It's better to be hated and respected than loved and not.
Yeah. Very true.
So I have kind of a weird, full circle story. So, I think it was 2009, or actually like the summer or 2008. My ex that I dated had went to Nipomo, and she was the Lady Titan. So my parents and I drove to Nipomo multiple times to watch the football games, to watch her. Then her brother Jason Costa came up and played, so we watched him. So I was just telling these guys in our group chat, like, thinking about it, like, I watched these guys play and had no clue, like, eventually, you know? And it's just a trip because a lot of my friends now in the area played football. Like, if I were to go back in time and see, like, oh, hey, like, I'm friends with that guy. I'm friends with Josh Korea. I'm friends with, Kenny and Aaron that played, and, Devontae Jackson, like, all these guys that I hang around with now. And, I watched them play and I had no idea.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Crazy.
Comes full circle.
All right, so now you guys have other lists. You guys can
Honorable
kinda
mention. I'll just go and give mine, and then you go and give yours.
Sure.
Did that make it easier?
Do
It'll
quicker.
go quicker.
Yeah, it'll go quicker.
Okay, so honorable mention, and again, I'm not trying to leave anyone out, but just for me defensively, number 1, Angel Rendon. Angel was quite possibly one of the most talented kids did everything correctly.
He's very smart, too.
JT Wells, of course. Aaron Gutierrez for his replacement back he needs. Cameron Teofilo was one of my favorite D linemen. There's a funny story. I'm not going to tell it online because it involves me and Russ and a vice principal and Tio, but it's a hilarious
That's
one.
not a story for.
Nope, but it was a great story. Brandon Rainey, Jeff Reynoso, and Paul Manasar.
Jeff Reynoso, man.
Funny story, Jeff
Dude was
Reynoso.
a maniac.
My first year coaching there, I'm the head JV coach. I have no idea really how to coach. And we're practicing. It's like week 3 in summer, right before a game. And there's a freaking snake on the practice field. And he picks it up and wraps it around his neck and plays the next 3 plays with a snake on him. Just typical Reynoso.
He's a freaking psychopath.
Yeah,
man.
that's Jeff.
He is.
That's why I liked him.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Should I just go through my lineman list?
Yeah,
then?
go through your lineman list.
All right. I'm going to go through my lineman list. And number 10, 2009 senior, Jake Ryan.
Me and him had some battles. That was like,
He was a stud.
We talked so much shit to each other, playing each other. That was fun.
He is a stud.
Jake Ryan was good.
2011 senior, number 9, Russell Moran. 2007 senior, Blake Clark.
Yeah, Blake.
2008 senior, the one, the only, Aaron Gutierrez.
Oh, look at him.
Let's go. By the way, Aaron, my wife says you are giving the wife plug. She's going to watch this at some point, I'm sure. You are still her favorite football player of all time.
Love you, Melanie.
And so I always ask, like, why do you like Aaron? He is just the nicest guy. He would always come up and talk to me, and he remembered my name. I said, "Are you sure he's not hitting on you?"
I got you, Coach. Don't worry.
So 7, Aaron Gutierrez. Number 6, lineman, big boy, 2006 senior, Garrett Rogers.
Stud.
Number 5, 2010 senior and team MVP in 10, Gerardo Torres.
Jerry, he was a player. Went and played at Menlo, correct?
Yep.
And he played
that's
for
correct.
the Lord of the Flies. Didn't he play for Speckman for a year? His first year?
He did, and
Lord of the Flies.
for a while there, he went and he was what do they call the Mexican wrestlers?
Lucha.
Yeah.
He was doing that, and now Jerry is an entrepreneur. He's an ice cream shop owner.
Oh, good for him.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Super
he does
smart-
shoes for. He does artwork on shoes for famous people.
Dude,
Actually.
super smart
Does he?
player, too.
Yeah, he was amazing. Number 4, 2012 senior, Jonathan Wells.
Yep.
3, 2011 senior, Brett Kimball. Talk about a talented young man. Number 2, 2005 senior, and Josh had this guy on his list, Ben Cannon. I was fortunate that first year coaching at Nipomo to have a good group of linemen. I was the O-line coach. And Ben was the leader of that group and just an absolute stud on both sides of the ball.
Yep.
And then number 1 for linemen, Coach McClurg had him tied for 1 on his all-time list. 2007 senior Corbin Bowes.
Beer Jesus.
Yep.
Jesus.
You take those guys and you take those skill guys and you could put a team together and like combine them all. Not sure you make the team, Aaron.
Oh, I'm fine with that.
But that's a hell of a 20. Like, if you take
I'm
those,
surprised I made any list. So
Yeah.
you're
No, I think a lot of yours is heart. Like, and you also made my undersized list that I'll go over. I think with you is you did more with less. There's a lot of guys that have that build, You know, they could be 250, 6'2", and they just don't do it because so much of it comes from heart and drive and being a student of the game. And I always recognize the fact that you played with a freaking broken leg and a bad back. I think when I gave a speech about you, the back of a 70-year-old, and you're playing high school football.
Yeah.
That's my biggest regret, blowing my knee out. It's like I just wish I could have just played healthy.
Yeah. Oh, well, but you still got to play and have some great memories. That's
damn
you know,
right.
no regrets.
Damn right.
I'm going to quickly go through my honorable mentions. Some honorable mention linemen, Tonka Madrigal, Mike Garza, Tony Panette, Gabe Fernandez, Cameron Teofilo, and the big rig, Chris Reed.
Chris Reed.
Hey, Chris Reed.
Shout out Chris
he
Reed.
almost made my list as well because that year, his junior year, with
His
him
junior
and-
year is phenomenal.
he was a big part of why that bear worked because he demanded the double at that nose.
Yeah. Real quick, senior skill position honorable mentions, Jeff Reynoso, Billy Chambers, Brandon Rainey, Cody Wiseman, Akeem King, Steven Mancera, Angel Rendon, Devontae. Mike Devontae doesn't need his last name said. Everybody knows.
everyone knows who
is
Devontae is.
Yeah.
Who's that guy again? I'm just joking.
Micah DeBruno,
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Micah.
Chris Souza, Justin Springer, Quentin Bland, Tommy Signs, and Luke Shirtleff.
It's funny, I had Souza on my honorable mention, but then when I coached him, he only played one game for us.
Yeah.
So then I had to take him off. But I do remember that next year I was assisting at San Ynez, and I remember telling the defensive coordinator, he calls 21. You know, it's like a 3rd and 28, and he calls too high man under, and I'm like, don't do it. And he's like, why? I'm like, there's nobody on the quarterback. Oh, no, he's going to throw it. I'm like, no, it's Souza.
Yeah.
He would rather run the ball. Like,
every time.
Just trust me. I know the kid. And what does he do? 29 yards, first down. And he runs right out of bounds right next to me and looks at me and flips me the ball. And I had a bunch of choice words for him.
Chris was a hell of an athlete. And
Stud.
really, I wish we could have played him at receiver.
Yeah.
But you
It
know,
was just one of those things you had to play because he
Yeah.
was your best
Best player.
option at quarterback.
Well,
yeah.
He was the team. I'm not gonna lie. His senior year, didn't he get hurt?
no, it was his junior.
It was
year.
his junior year against Carpinteria.
And is that when
The opening
Devontae
game.
played quarterback?
Correct.
That's the
That
year
was
we
that.
went 0
Okay.
and 10.
That was not Devontae was like third on. Well, it was Devontae,
Well-
then it was Nolan Maddox.
It was also Gutshaw.
It was also
Gutshaw, yeah, Gutshaw.
It was supposed to be.
Let's
leave it there.
Gutshaw had a
Love you,
great
Joe.
junior year for me.
There
That
you go.
great
Junior
junior
year.
year. He was awesome to coach. I have my best undersized team. And so we already mentioned Aaron Gutierrez, but you cannot mention Brett Farmer without saying this. That guy jerked 315
Yeah.
pounds at 180 pounds. And he did more. Another guy did more with less. A guy that didn't play his senior year but was a stud his junior year, Sam Rodriguez, Billy Chambers.
Samrod, okay. I didn't know he didn't play his senior year.
Did not.
Nope. Samrod, his junior year, was a stud.
He had like 9 sacks his
I know.
junior year.
I know.
I think he had 6 against San Ynez.
Yeah.
Saying it is, he did.
He destroyed him.
Yeah, and it's alone. I'm going to give him credit. Billy Chambers, of course, Tony Panetti, and Aaron Seha. Seha was
Seha.
he
My
played
brother.
opposite.
Shout out.
We were the two Aarons.
Yeah, he played opposite of you
we loved
and
it.
Aaron. Like I remember when we went to the all league meeting, and I remember coaches being like, "That kid's got to be all league
Somewhere. Got to put him
Put
somewhere.
him somewhere."
He was a stud.
I'll do these are kind of undersized, but also I called it the Heart Top 10. So it's a lot of undersized guys, but number 10, I went Bognuda and Kabigas. I couldn't do one without
Oh,
the
nice.
other. The little combo guards, they were all of like 5'5" each, maybe 170 pounds. They were, starters on that 2009 team. 2006 senior, Justin Bratcher.
Jay
2000
Bratch.
Yeah, shout out to Bratch.
Love you, Bratch.
Bratcher.
2009 senior, G-Rob, Garrett Robinson.
Yep.
2007 senior, Brent Farmer. 2011 senior, Chris Lemus.
Okay.
Everybody's like, oh, who's Chris?
Wait, not 2011. That was like 2005.
No,
no,
you're
no.
thinking
Oh.
of the running back, Chris
Oh,
Lemus.
that's
This is
right.
Chris Lemus, the
I know Chris.
5'6",
Oh, okay.
175-pound stud defensive lineman. Chris
Because the
Lemus.
other Chris Lemus, the older one, was good too. He,
You don't have Dominic Cabrales on there, dude? Come on now. he was like 3 feet tall and he was a nose guard.
I gave him an award at our banquet.
Dom was hard to block. Tell you that.
2008 senior, Aaron Seha.
Yep, Seha.
2006 senior, Frankie
Oh,
Castillo.
Frankie.
How could you leave Frankie
I know.
off?
Add Frankie
off
to
an
my list.
undersized there,
Add
McClurg?
Frankie.
Come on.
Remember, I've blocked a lot of you people out of my life.
Take me off and add Frankie.
And then I comboed up another 2011 grouping because I couldn't do one without the other. Jake Evans and Troy Hernandez.
Oh, Troy was a slut. He was a little stud. I like Troy.
2007 senior, Nick Cano.
Nick Cano. Funny thing about that, I remember rookie rookie D coordinator, and I would rely heavily just on blitzing the mic.
Oh, Nick Hanna loved it.
And then Russ, we're going into
he
I
was
think
great.
Morro Bay. He's like, have you broken down how many times per game you blitz the mic at that? And I'm like, no, not at all. He's like, yeah, you might want to lay off it.
Because we were playing Logan Bud.
Yeah, well, it's just like he's just like, your tendency is to do this on this down, and I'm like,
Nick was
okay.
so good at it, though.
He was great, and he just made it happen. It's like when I didn't know what to do, I'm like, blitz the mic.
Yeah, blitz Nick. And nobody messed with Nick Hanna.
No.
And then my number one heart player, we named an award after him.
The Joe Torres.
The Joe Torres
Iron
Iron,
Titan.
Titan Award. Joe Torres was the man.
And so that brings me to my toughest Titan ever award, and that goes to Joe Torres.
Has to be.
Great story. It was the summer before his junior year, and I don't know what the hell we're doing, sprints or something, and Joe runs with no pads into the freaking 5-man sled, and it doesn't have pads on it yet. So it's all iron on iron, and you hear a ding, and it's his shoulder and hip, and he just kind of nudges it off and keeps going. I'm like, hey, Joe, you good? And he's like, what are you talking about? Fine.
Yeah, like nothing. It didn't hurt. I got to say, out of anything that I've ever won, the Joe Torres Iron Titan Award is like my favorite award. That's definitely like the coolest thing.
My honorable mention, Hart guys. 2005 guys, Bo Sorensen, Mike Garza. 2006 guys, Adam Mercier.
Oh, great. Blast from the past.
And Vince Cano.
Oh, Choco.
Yep. My 2007 guy, Kyle Marshalik.
Yep.
Leader on the offense as a center. 2009, Cameron Epley.
I like it.
His cousin was one of the best defensive linemen in school history at St. Is Connor Epley.
I tried to get him to come to the Pomo.
Oh,
Sorry.
Connor was a stud.
He wasn't buying it.
And he didn't come down.
Oh, no. He was
And
a pirate.
then 2012, we had three guys: Eddie Bosley, Clayton Freitas, and Caleb Mendez. All undersized guys
Yeah.
that played bigger than their size for sure.
I had two other ones I did. Specialist. Not enough, I don't like special teams. But Mike Trujillo was one of the
By far.
baddest
By
freaking
far.
punters ever. So I want to give Mike a shout out. And then my funny award. This guy, he came to us. He had to play JV his junior year because of transfer rules. And then he would, in his D-line stance, he would literally quote Anchorman, Dumb and Dumber, and then constantly say, "Are you not entertained?" From Gladiator.
Yeah.
And that's Jake Nestor. Jake made me laugh nonstop. Do you remember Jake?
Oh yeah.
I loved coaching Jake. I mean, he was before your guys. You guys might have been freshmen.
Okay, that's what I was going to. I don't remember.
him.
Okay.
Yeah, Jake was. I loved coaching Jake. He and I had a good bond together, and he was freaking hilarious. A good dry sense of humor.
That's awesome.
Well, there you go. There's a
Okay.
list.
That's awesome. And then one thing I wanted to do with these guys, I want to do an all-time Titans team. I want you guys to go through, and we will talk about each. Just pick one person from each position.
Okay.
You guys okay with that?
We might not agree.
That's fine. We don't have to agree. Okay, quarterback. And this is. It doesn't have to be first 10. It can be.
Well, let's stick with the first
You
10.
wanna say
Yeah,
first
it's
10?
easier because I'm not going to speak.
Yeah, Josh won't know all the guys.
If we go
for
first
real.
10, we got to go career, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with
You
Chris.
got to go career.
You gotta go crazy.
If it was
Although-
all time, I might go Albright because Albright was a stud, but I think number 2's got to be.
I think Albright also. I think the offense lent
Yeah, that's
itself to him. I mean, Albright was. I'll just say this: Albright was a bitch to game plan against, and like
Stud.
that whole offense with those receivers.
Yeah.
But I think of the first 10, and I think Mason's close right behind him.
true. Yeah, I agree. Okay,
So QB, we went Josh Correa.
I think we all agree Josh Correa for the first 10.
Yeah.
Now,
Let's do that.
running back. This is where I probably gonna have a different from you guys.
I'm gonna go Penny.
Penny,
Got to go Penny.
go Penny. Okay. See, I go Dwayne, but I know you're gonna put him at probably linebacker, so I can't put him on that. But
You got to go with body of work and not potential.
See, that's where I go. Watching Dwayne Hanna run the ball, it was like, in my opinion, he's the best just running back. But I agree with you. If you look at numbers, stats, all that, it's got to be Penny or, I'm not gonna lie, that dude who was on that 2014 team too, Chris something.
Chris was a stud.
Chris was
But
a good running back.
as coaches,
Chris
head
Owens.
coaches, Chris Owens, yeah. As head
Owens.
coaches, though, remember our selections are also based on the insides, right? The
That's
inside
true.
information. Like,
Yeah.
like we knew which guys worked harder. We know which guys seemed to care more. Which guys were there at practice every day. All of that kind of stuff. So
And what makes the team better? Because if you let's say you put Dwayne Hanna You put Dwayne Hanna as the starting tailback. That makes Penningroth the starting rover. That leaves Angel Rendon out.
Yeah.
And then that makes us not have a Mike linebacker, which makes us weak on defense. Yeah. Whereas instead, if we make Penny the guy that carries the rock 80% of the time and Dwayne rotates in, Dwayne doesn't leave the field on defense, Angel now becomes a defensive stud.
And
we're way better.
Speaking on that, I mean, and Josh can correct me if I'm wrong, but we had lots of arguments about Dwayne playing running back.
Uh-huh.
And, and obviously Josh was the defensive coordinator, and I'm the OC, and we had lots of arguments in 2008 and 2009.
I can imagine.
But what it boiled down to ultimately, and why it was never pushed more, was because Dwayne was fragile.
Very true.
Dwayne was hurt. He was hurt
All
his
the time.
whole sophomore year. He was hurt off and on his whole junior year.
His senior year was the only healthy year, and I think a lot of it had to do when you're at linebacker, you dictate the contact 95% of the time.
Very true.
When you're at running back, you dictate the contact about 15% of the time. And so it just made a smarter move, I think, as a team. And I think coaching-wise, I think we were in agreement of that. I mean, I wanted him on defense.
I got you.
Josh didn't want to share him.
Trust me, I get it.
But here's the other thing on that, and why Penny is the guy there is he was hard to tackle, and he was fast, and
So shifty too. That just
right. So
quick.
The 2009 game against Sarah is another great Penny story. Is we ran gap counter, I think, and Penny hit the hole, right, and we got it blocked perfectly. We got the downs, Devontae. We got the pulling guard on the kick out on their 6'6" athletic end.
Yeah.
We got
Who went to
Devontae
San
up through
Jose.
the hole. Yeah, we got Devontae up through the hole on the backer, and Eric hit it, and guess what? There's
Robert Woods.
Robert Woods.
He was playing safety.
Robert Woods filling down at 5 yards from safety. Eric frickin' made him miss.
Yeah.
Eric juked him out of his shoes. And you can still see me. I've looked at the film a few times, just watching old highlights.
Yeah, you don't say. I've only watched that like 115 times.
But when I see that play, it always makes me laugh. Not because Eric juked Robert Woods, but because you can see me from the film on the sideline, and I do this.
Like, touchdown.
Touchdown.
Normally it would be.
Against anybody else, it's a touchdown. It was like a 25-yard run.
Yep.
Yeah.
Robert Woods got back up and caught him.
Like
right?
4 guys caught it.
No,
I don't know.
Marquise Lee caught it,
okay,
and
yeah.
Paul Richardson.
Yeah. Okay.
Both NFL receivers.
But Eric's probably the only guy other than Chris Owens who had that kind of shiftiness
Chris
where
Owens is solid.
you're going to make guys miss like that.
Yeah, he
So-
was a poor man's Barry Sanders. Like, he
Yes.
had quicks like that. I mean, again, that's the closest guy I can equate him to.
Okay, so we go fullback.
No comment. I didn't pay enough attention to offense.
Just out of love for my best friend, I'm gonna go Kenny Ray Knudsen.
I'll take that.
But
I'll
my
take that.
my
Hey, didn't I just give a talk about, as coaches, we know the inside and
That's
who's
why-
working hard and who's.
Yeah,
Kenny, his
absolutely.
senior year, his junior year, he was right on that
Yeah.
that pace. Senior year, he I don't know if that was
Until that Santa Maria game.
was that first,
Yeah.
was it the first girlfriend the senior year, Kenny? Because you got girl crazy, man.
That was not my first girlfriend. But,
Something else was happening.
let's just say a lot of shit was happening at that time, But
if I didn't go Kenny, I'd go Kyle Dickinson. But that's just me personally. I think just
I did beat out Kyle Dickinson though on report cards. So
there you go.
in youth and in high school.
I don't even remember all the fullbacks.
I literally know Kenny and Kyle.
And then
Yeah,
Petey
I don't know
Davidson
any
we
of them.
played too. There
Oh, that's
at
right,
fullback,
Pete-
didn't we?
Petey, we played Petey there. We got Devontae.
Beat him out
Yeah.
too.
Devontae's in this mix. Just junior year, that's where Devontae played.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he was instrumental to that offensive attack
Yeah,
for
okay.
sure.
I'll tell you after that first.
We're gonna let you pick him, Aaron.
That
Well, you know who I'm going.
yeah.
Then put Kenny.
Hey, that
know
first
where I'm
game, that first game against Bishop Diego where we lost, it was kind of like a reality check for us all. The 07,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we had report cards for every position the next day, and I beat out Andy Lord, Pete, Kyle.
Andy Lord, there's a
and-
name.
Yeah, so
Flashback.
I'll hang my hat on that.
That a
we go.
baby. There you go.
But yes,
okay.
I get that.
There you go, Kenny.
Tight
Very
end.
self-rare.
Tight end. Aaron's wanted some love.
No, I don't.
But
I was
senior year, you didn't
I was nowhere near anything on a tight end at all.
Who was our tight end in 09? I don't even remember.
Jared O'Reef played there.
Oh, you're right.
It's Jesse Fiskus. is the
Jesse
best, right?
Fiskus.
I do remember. Wasn't Blake Clark a tight end for us too?
Yeah.
He was, but
Before
the senior
Torres
year,
ACL.
We moved him.
Same thing. He
Daniel
tore his
Herrera?
ACL.
A non-contact
Dan-
covering punt because he was a long snapper. I do
Day-Day?
remember that. Yeah.
Day.
If Josh Correa would have just thrown to you when you were open,
I'm just saying, I was wide open. He didn't need to throw it to Kevin, and he didn't need to tip it to
We played
Eric.
Dwayne at tight end.
I was wide
yeah.
open on that.
Just
play.
blame that. Just blame everything Josh does wrong on his diabetes. That's
Yeah.
right. That's what it is. It's his blood sugar.
He had a tick,
just
right?
You know he's
Dwayne
going to watch
everywhere.
this.
I know.
Oh, no.
There you go, Josh.
First of all, he's going to study it.
But that's out of his control. He can just say my blood sugar was low. Like that's what I would do if I had diabetes. I'd be like, "Oh, sorry, bro. Blood sugar was low. Vision blurry. I couldn't hit
So
you."
tight end.
I have no comment.
I mean, Day.
I don't. Who's Day Day?
Daniel Herrera.
Oh, Daniel Herrera. Oh yeah, Daniel was good.
Daniel was good.
Yeah.
Daniel Herrera?
Yeah. Sure. I don't care. You guys make the call. I'm not an offensive guy.
Give me so 2 wide receivers.
Kevin Britt.
KB.
for both of them.
Well,
Kyle Webb.
Kyle Webb.
I was okay. I was
Britton Webb.
KB, K-Dub.
Yep.
2 tackles.
I don't remember what they played, but wherever
So,
wherever Corbin Bowes played, put him there. Actually, I would put him on D nose. He's the best nose ever.
Yeah, that might be a good call.
Yeah, we might go to him on O-line here.
Let's go tackles.
I don't remember who
Jake Ryan?
tackles. Wasn't Ben Cannon was a guard?
Ben Cannon was a guard, and we played Ben at center a little bit too.
Yeah.
Blake Clark.
Oh yeah,
Blake was he was super athletic.
great, good in pass pro.
So here, let me tell you about Blake. Blake was the best tackle getting out on the Vegas screen.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I
He was
remember that.
amazing.
Yeah.
because he was so athletic and fast, and he would set, and he'd be out, and he'd always pick up that block. And then Jake Ryan, Russ Moran probably are the other two.
So we're on tackle, right?
Tackle. And I ranked Russ above Jake on my list,
So
so,
Russ.
Russ.
gotta go Russ.
He's a stud.
All right, guards. Who we got?
Ben Cannon, I think.
Go Ben Cannon and Garrett Rogers.
Yeah. And who's our center? I don't even remember who centers are.
So I had
Besides
Marcelic,
Marcelic.
right? Marcelic was our center our senior year.
here's on the list
Or
at
junior.
Brett Kimball, and I got Brett way up here, but that was also because Brett was a stud two-way, and he was a really good nose also. But if we're gonna go Corbin and
Corbin's
nose,
got to be the best.
then we
nose.
go Brett at center probably.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay. Defense. D ends.
All the guys I got on the list here are all interior guys,
Okay,
except for Aaron Gutierrez.
I would say, okay, this is just me. I would say Aaron and Teofilo. Like Cam for me, like I would put you at the weekend. I'd put him at the strong. That's just what I would say.
Jerry Torres.
Jerry's an honorable
Johnny-
mention, like with that 9 tech, that 6'9" tech, that strong end. Yeah, Jerry. I mean, I would take for me just because I didn't coach Jerry his senior year. Like if I had to pick, I would pick Teo. Because I just loved the way he'd freaking roll his eyes back in his head like a great white shark on
He's a
game
monster,
time.
dude.
Yeah.
Nicest guy, but it was
He's
game
just so
time.
big, so damn big
Love
too.
Teo.
He could just flip a switch. That's what I liked about Teo.
Gabe Fernandez.
Oh, Gabe's that's another great undersized offensive
Fernandez
line,
was
D-line
stud.
guy too.
Yeah, shout out Gabe.
Yeah, Gabe's
Shout out Gabe, man.
scoop and score. Was that against
What a great
Templeton?
guy.
I'm trying to
Scoop and
remember.
score. Gabe
64 yard touchdown, and he ran out of gas, and he barely scored.
Hey, 64 yards is a long run.
I remember that
know.
play. Oh, yeah.
that was
It's a
fun.
long run.
Was that Templeton or San Ynez?
It was
was-
Templeton.
Okay.
Order release.
What about
Wait, was that
track.
KB? Was that because
That was
I
Templeton
think me
was
and
Kevin
Tanner
Britt.
hit that guy.
Kevin
and
Britt
he fumbled
picked it up
it.
and ran it back? Yeah.
And
D tackle.
yeah,
So are we gonna have
Oh,
a
so D
nose
tackle
here?
got to
Are
be
we-
Bose, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Bose, yeah.
Okay. X.
Well, I would say we go with the 4-man front.
Yeah,
and
I
then
do
we-
too.
Okay. All right.
And then we
that's fine.
put. I would put Jonathan Wells there.
All right, cool.
So Jonathan, the story on Jonathan, obviously he wanted to be a linebacker just like Dad and just like JT.
His brother, yeah.
And we gradually got Jonathan down. And his senior year, he was starting both ways. He was starting at left tackle and at D end or interior. And then when we went to he played in the All-Star game, and he was the best D lineman in the All-Star game, and they ended up playing him on the interior because he was so damn strong. But yeah,
John Wells is a stud. Okay. Ace.
Outside backer. Whew.
Outside backer, yeah. Outside backer.
Well, you got. Let's just say we go 2 outside backers. I would put Angel Rendon as one of them. The Will. That's just me. Boy, ace.
Ian Wilkinson, he was really good there. He played, although he was a rover.
So
Yeah.
Ian Wilkinson.
But Lucas Marszalek was also a
Justin
rover.
Bratcher had a good senior year as well.
I was gonna say Bratch, man, is one of the
Bratcher played well his senior
fun
year.
dudes I love watching play.
Love Bratch.
Angel. I mean, if we're doing it where the ace and the rover are kind of interchangeable, then and we're thinking just kind of an outside linebacker type, I would say the best 2 probably that we've had are, I don't know, what Paul was good too.
Paul Manasar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna go number 1 for me. Outside backer is Angel.
Okay. So
That's
I got
just so
Angel down.
freaking smart.
And then
Then there's a bunch of other guys in the mix.
Lucas.
Oh, Lucas Marszalek. Yeah, it's Lucas.
okay.
Gotta go Lucas.
Yep.
Okay, Mike and Will.
Dwayne Hanna's Mike.
And JT Wells.
Yep. That's easy.
Yeah, I've kind of figured those would be the 2. Okay, we've got just safety and 2 corners.
Well, the 2 corners to Britt, but
I would say
Britt's up at receiver already.
yeah, I know. It's Britt.
Gotta go
Boo Boo and
Boo.
Webb. Oh no, Webb's already on there
Webb's
too.
in-
I go Boo Boo. Boo Boo has to make it somewhere.
What corner?
Yeah.
And then who's the other? Johnny Benevito.
Maybe if
He's
he's playing today.
He's the best hunting corner.
That's what I'm talking about.
Johnny B, baby.
Johnny B.
He's coming back into town soon.
Hey,
right?
Johnny B's making sure the freezer is full.
Oh yeah.
That guy's taking care of business.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I'm just going through my my honorable mention guys.
Yeah, I'm trying to think corners. Who?
So Akeem was on my honorable mention.
I would throw. I would just say this: man to man, if you're just going to play zero cover,
yeah.
Boo Boo and Akeem.
Akeem, you can't beat that. I mean,
Okay.
the guy could lock anyone down.
And who was the best safety in school history? Seguin.
Wiseman tackled a lot.
Wiseman had a great
was
first game
great.
of his career, and then
Yeah,
had just played.
Yeah.
he's Cody.
Yeah,
He's Cody.
he's Cody. Yeah. Safety. Who's a good?
Can I? I'll give you one.
Yeah.
That none of us have on our list, but he played a great safety for us. I think in his 1 year playing football, and that was Eric
Oh,
Fernandez.
good. I would say yes.
Eric Fernandez. Oh,
So
That was
oh,
that
okay.
2007 team.
I won't tell the story, but there's
No,
a great.
that would incriminate.
Yes,
there's
there's a
coach.
great
And I've actually
story.
named that coach today in this.
We
podcast.
have.
I almost said our podcast. I guess it is our podcast.
hey, it is. This is yours.
It's my podcast,
Hey,
guys.
Mi pares tu ca.
Look at you with your bilingualism.
No, dude.
So we going
I
Fernandez.
would-
There's a difference.
I agree. Eric in 1 year. I mean, Joe Gutschall his junior year had a
Joe
freaking
Gutschall's junior year was amazing.
phenomenal. Joe Gutschall. I mean, I would go asterisk there, but if you're going 1 year, go Fernandez and Joe. But just in 1 year, Joe did not have a good senior year. He was not focused.
no.
Joe, yeah.
Paul. Paul played. He played more like Rover though.
Paul Manasar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he ended up at outside backer. I think we threw him
did.
at outside backer.
Okay.
Because
And then
everybody was
obviously
running on us.
punters
Yeah.
got to be Trujillo.
Trujillo. Yep.
I'd say kickers. My cousin
Who's your cousin?
Juan Aguiluz.
No, Taylor Apets.
Taylor Apex.
Taylor Apets.
I don't even know
Apex,
who these
okay.
guys
Yeah.
are.
Up until a couple years ago, Taylor was the top scoring PAT kicker.
Nice.
Did he make a game winner in a playoff game?
With 40 mile per hour, 40 mile per hour wind.
with
But-
wins in his face.
That's outside of the 10-year window.
Yeah,
though.
that's true.
That's
Oh,
second
yeah,
10.
yeah.
Hey, I'll say
I guess
something
that's
about
That's
that.
second 10.
If anything, I actually might even put Eric Fernandez on there too. Eric Fernandez was a pretty damn good kicker too.
Yeah, but
Okay.
in that 10-year
expected him to be
span,
better.
Taylor Apets was the top scorer.
Last but not least, returner.
Kick returner.
What the?
And you,
Sarah's?
and you can double up on someone.
So are we
if you
doing
want
kickoff
to.
return?
Or
Just-
punt
just-
return. Or
Which
returner in
one?
general.
We want to do both.
The
You wanna do-
best kickoff returner in school history was JT Wells.
Really?
JT would catch the ball full head of steam
Okay.
and just run straight where he was supposed to run.
Oh, wow.
Full speed.
Nice.
Like
respect
you know,
it.
you say this is the alley.
Go there.
JT's going there.
Yeah.
He ran one back off against Lompoc in the Lompoc's really good years, and we were
that's right.
we were in that game until the very end. And I was playing JT. We didn't play a free safety that game.
No, I was still there. That was 2010.
Yeah, no,
No, it was
this
the
is
year I was
2011.
gone, 2011.
It was
You're right, you're right,
Next
yeah.
year.
Because we played Lompoc the game after you did, so I had the film on what you did.
We played that double flex.
Yep.
And I didn't play a free safety, and I just played JT at like 9 yards. I said, JT, you're the free safety and the middle backer. And he's like, huh? I just run around and make plays.
Yep.
If we that was Coleman.
Yeah.
If we're gonna have a chance to beat these guys, we got to load the box up. And but JT had a big 90-something yard kickoff return.
That's right.
And yeah.
And my last question for you: greatest player you ever coached against?
Ooh. You gotta give us prep for
Holy smokes.
Hey, let's.
Robert Woods.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
an easy
that's
answer right
pretty
there, for
easy.
sure.
Robert Woods.
Yeah. And I will say this. Kevin Britt got in that dude's head. He had one play against us. He caught that Vegas screen on the first series. We had him at 3rd and 16, and we're in zero cover, bringing this blitz that we created for them.
Housed
And
it.
I'm not going to say who screwed up, but one person that normally didn't play defense didn't play the Vegas call correct and fit up as we handed it off.
Come on, Eric.
And on that play, Akeem King, if he had 5 more yards, hawked him from the opposite side of the field. I mean, Akeem ran him
He's so
down
damn fast.
So Woods was a bitch to have the game plan for him. And then KJ Cusack was another one that was tough.
KJ Cusack, I talk about him quite often when people ask me some of the best players I played against because I'll never forget my senior year. He didn't play offense against us, and he had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. Slow White.
I remember just being like, wait. He's not on offense, and he scored 21 points against us?
So that's back when they used to wear green helmets, right? And we're game
Yeah.
planning for him, and he was a sophomore, and I kept calling him the Leprechaun. And if
Yeah.
you guys remember,
I
I said
remember.
all week we're just going to refer to this kid as the Leprechaun.
And he destroyed us. That was rough.
Yeah.
That game.
Well, hey, I want to say thank you for coming
Thank
on the
you
pod,
so
guys.
much,
This
guys.
was an absolute blast, a blast from the past. And we enjoyed every second of it. And like you said, next year we'll have you on. We can do the next 10. We can do some St. Inez talk and talk a little Nipomo here.
Man, there's content to be had here.
Yes,
you
sir.
know what I mean? But yeah, guys, I hope most football gets a chance to watch this.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it was a great time, guys.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank
Find
you.
us on all our socials and go Titans.
Garage Gang out.
Go Pirates. Hey! Edit that out in post.